Amqui, Quebec has begun its remembrance of the victims of yesterday's deadly pickup truck attack just after 3 o'clock local time, 24 hours after it happened. The town's church bells tolled. Now, this is the scene just about an hour ago. That is Steve Gagnon. He is facing 2 charges, making his first court appearance today. 2 charges of dangerous driving causing death. The news that we brought you yesterday was that this man drove a pickup truck, according to police, and plowed into pedestrians on a street in Amqui, Quebec, and that is Steve Gagnon leaving the court after this appearance. The CBC's Sarah Levitt is in Amqui and joins me now. So Sarah, let's start with that court appearance. What happened?
Well, it was quite something, Andrew. I was here about an hour before he was set to appear, and there were already citizens lining up on both sides of the street outside the courthouse. Here's what happened when Steve Gagnon arrived to walk into the courthouse. So you can see people here really not happy about what happened. He appeared in court facing 2 charges right now: dangerous driving causing death. But he remains in custody because the prosecutors say more of the investigation needs to be done and more charges are likely. This all stemming from what happened yesterday at 3 p.m. This is the main stretch of Amqui. It's one main busy stretch, and it just goes around the corner there, and that is exactly where this happened. Witnesses describe the man driving the truck, now we know is Steve Gagnon, driving up onto the curb and hitting pedestrians. Provincial police say that they believe that it was intentional, that he was hitting the pedestrians at random. One witness said that he jumped out of the way when he saw the pickup coming, that he was fast enough to jump out of the way. But obviously a very dramatic scene yesterday. What we know, 2 are dead and 7 people were taken to hospital, 1 here in Amqui, 6 taken to Quebec City, the trauma center there. 3 are still in critical condition, life-threatening injuries. The 3 others are stable, and of those 3 are 2 children, 1 a baby and 1 a toddler. This has affected this town deeply. It's a town of 6,000. Everybody knows each other. Let's hear from the Liberal, or I should say the provincial MNA in this riding.
Everybody knows each other here. It's a 6,000 people city, a little city, where everybody have a link with each other. And I get a lot of commentaries for people, a lot of message telling me that people are stressed, are sad, looking for some help. So it's turning my heart apart.
And Sarah, Premier François Legault also spoke this afternoon. What did he say?
Well, first of all, he said that he would be coming to Amqui on Thursday. He invited all the leaders of the opposition parties. They too will come here. But he also spoke about having sympathy and saying that he would they would fly the flag at the National Assembly at half-mast. Here's what else he had to say.
I feel terrible because it's happening for a second time in a month. Of course, all my thoughts are with the people in Amqui. We'll offer them all the support we can. I'll be there with the 3 opposition leaders this Thursday.
So, Andrew, we heard the church bells ringing right before I came on. That's part of the healing. The church will be doing that until Friday, when there's a commemoration or a mass held at that church. And all day people have been going there and placing flowers and stuffed animals. Very reminiscent of just about a month ago in Laval, Quebec, where a similar incident happened. Andrew?
And Sarah, just to go back to the court appearance today, we know that the lawyers scrummed afterwards. They talked a little bit about Steve Gagnon. There were questions around a criminal record, questions around psychological or psychiatric evaluations. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so not a lot of those questions were answered, but the defense in this case did not request a mental evaluation, although they still can throughout this case as it moves forward. Meanwhile, the prosecution has said appearing before the judge, they said they needed more time, that the investigation was ongoing, that surely more charges were coming. They didn't question anything about mental health. They again called back to the defense lawyer, not asking for a mental health evaluation. But so far, very little else that we know. We know he faces those 2 charges of dangerous driving or reckless driving, causing death. But as I said, more charges are expected.
And of course, there are lots of questions on any kind of motive. Did we get any sense of that?
No, none whatsoever. In fact, the defense lawyer, not surprisingly, very tight-lipped. I will say that lots of people are angry in this town. I spoke about the people just waiting an hour or more outside the courtroom to get a quick glimpse of him as he came in. He came from the police car to the door. It took approximately less than 10 seconds, and as you heard, they were yelling at him. Lots of people want to know what happened here and why it happened.
And the next court appearance for Steve Gagnon is April 5th. He remains in custody until then. Sarah, thank you. That is CBC's Sarah Levitt live in Amqui, Quebec. And Prime Minister Justin Trudeau addressed the Amqui incident today while making an announcement in Nova Scotia.
Obviously, our hearts go out to the community in Amqui, the families affected by this horrific incident. Obviously, I want to thank the first responders who were there on the scene and dealing with some extraordinarily difficult moments across Quebec, across the country. Our hearts go out to a community, small community, tight-knit community that has been devastated by this incident.
For more on this, we've reached Christina Michaud. She is the local MP for Avignon, Lametti, Matane, Matapédia, and she visited the scene of the incident last night, and I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Hello.
So I understand that you have a close connection to Amqui. Can you tell us about what that connection is and what went through your mind when the news broke about what happened?
Yes, well, I was born here in Amqui. I grew up here. It's my hometown. I went to school here. My parents still live here near what happened yesterday. I have family, friends. I live in the village just near to Amqui, and I was around when it happened. In the next village, and I couldn't believe it. And I think it's still surreal for a lot of people here when they see Amqui on the news, when they hear it on the radio. It's like we thought it would never happen in a community like ours. You said it. It's a small town. 6,000 people are living here. We used to say that our place is quiet, peaceful, safe. And I think there's a lot of questioning for people today. Obviously, I think I can speak for my constituents when I say that when I woke up this morning, I hoped it would be just a nightmare, a bad dream. I think a lot of people felt that like that, but it still happened. And the center of the town, as it's still blocked, reminds us of what happened. So it's a lot of emotions for people that are still under shock. And starting to ask themselves a lot of questions also. People are starting to be angry, to wonder why this happened, why it happened here. They're wondering if they're still safe in their community. And I think it's part of our role as a representative of a community to assure them that they will be safe and to reassure them. But it's a big tragedy for us.
And I understand that you walked around the scene after things calmed down. Can you just describe what you saw?
Well, there was obviously the investigators, police officers that were there to take note on the ground, to try to reconstruct the scenes, see what happened. And there were still shoes on the ground, a stroller as well. And I could see they just passed beside me, the ambulances that were going to the nearest airport, which is 50 minutes away from here, to transport the badly injured to Quebec City to another hospital. So so it was still very shocking to see the scene, to see a lot of police officers, to see a lot of media. Usually around that time after supper, there's no people around. It's a quiet town, but to see the danger banderolls, I don't know if that's even a word.
The police tape and everything?
These tapes, yeah, exactly. That struck the mind. I think those images will still be in the mind of a lot of people, and there was a lot of witnesses. It was a beautiful day, a spring day yesterday. There was no school. People were around. People were on the street, families, and a lot of people witnessed what happened. And I think we have to be there for those people. We, of course, think about people that died, people that are injured and still are fighting for their lives as we speak. But there's a lot of witnesses as well that we think about, the first respondent as well. I want to thank them for what they did. Even though we're a small community, we have professional people that are here and that they acted really rapidly, and I want to thank them for that. But I think we will have to heal as a community. Everyone knows each other, so we will have to heal together.
So everyone knows each other. So you have family and friends that live in Amqui. Do you know some of those that were hurt or killed, or do you know people who knew them, and how are they dealing with all of this?
Well, of course, the first reflex was to text each other, call each other to see if friends, family were okay. And then there's a friend who said, my family's not okay, and my friend is not okay, and that girl I work with is not okay. So so it's a lot to take in, even though we're close or not to them. There's people we see in the grocery stores, people that we work with or that we see on the street. There's a lot of people just taking a walk every day. And in Amqui, even though we don't really know the person, we still say hi when we pass each other in car or on the street. So so obviously I know people that are involved in this. I know people that witnessed it and that are still in shock. And it's normal to be. There's no normal reaction for this. It might be in a few days that people will react in another manner, and I really invite them to go search for the help. It's really available. Quebec made it available for them, psychosocial help. So they just have to call 811 and make the option 2, and they can speak to a professional. So so I know it's not the first reflex that we have to go and search for help, but I think under the circumstances, a lot of people will need it, and I encourage them to do it.
Because this of course happened just a few weeks after the deadly bus crash in Laval, right? So I'm sure this is kind of top of mind. People almost immediately go, oh my gosh, has something else terrible happened? You know, what do you say to people that come to you and are looking for some comforting words about trying to feel safe in a small town in Quebec, not in a downtown city, but just on a quiet small town street?
Yeah, well, we saw what happened in Laval, and we never thought it would happen in our own community here in Amqui. And I don't think there's any word for it. It's really hard to find the words to reassure people, to make them believe that they will be safe, that it's okay to go and take a walk again on that same street, because it's the principal street in our town. So I think they need reassurance, and I'm not convinced that I have the good words. I'm not convinced that there's perfect words for this, but I think we're a tightly knit community, and we have to be there for each other and just to talk to each other, get through it together, and put words on it, whatever those words are. It won't bring anyone back, obviously, but I think to be there for each other is the thing to do right now. Also, as a representative, we have the responsibility to make those people feel safe. So I know there will be some discussions to make people feel more safe. What can we do for that? Is it a matter of public safety? Is it a matter of mental health? Is it both? Is it something else? As a representative, we will have to have those discussions and make sure that people that still live here will feel safe in their own community.
Appreciate you taking the time to talk to us on obviously a very difficult day for your community, but thank you, Christina. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina Michaud in Amqui, Quebec. She is the MP for Avignon, Lametti, Matane, Matapédia.